I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the Vietnam Veterans News Podcast. News of interest about Vietnam veterans from a Vietnam veteran. Now, here's your host, Mack Payne.
This is Mack Payne here with episode 17501 of the Vietnam Veteran News Podcast. News about the Vietnam War and the brave veterans who served there, as told to you by yours truly, a Vietnam veteran. In this episode, I'm going to tell you about a Vietnam veteran by the name of John Shoemaker, lives up in Natick, Massachusetts, just a few miles west of the big city of Boston. He served with the 196th Light Infantry Brigade that was a part of the Americal Division in I Corps of South Vietnam. He was over there from 70 to 71. That was about the same time I was there on my second tour, 70 to 71, up at Phu Ba near Hue. I had some connections with the Americal Division on my first tour. My unit was down at Doc Pho on the beautiful coastline of South Vietnam. It was a wonderful place out there, except for the combat that was going on. Other than that, that beach was so beautiful. I thought, it's a shame that they don't build some hotels on this beach because it is so wonderful here. They probably have a few of them there now. But back in 1970, that was a rough area. John Shoemaker will attest to that. John Shoemaker is an accomplished columnist. He writes guest columns for newspapers up there. On Memorial Day, he had a column in the Metro West Daily News of Framingham, Massachusetts. That was tremendous. It was so tremendous, I'm going to share it with you, and I'm sure he doesn't mind. The title of his column was, "What is that smell in the air?" In his guest column, he addresses the current situation going on with the COVID-19 84 situation. Sort of relates it to what was going on 50 years ago. When you put things like that in perspective, it makes you realize we're not really that bad off now. We have to deal with the situation, but we always have situations we have to deal with. Hopefully you will agree with that after you hear what John Shoemaker has to say about why he remembered the smell of death on the recent Memorial Day, which was yesterday. Let's take a look at what John had to say. Again, the title of his column is, "What is that smell in the air?" Dateline, Framingham, Massachusetts. It is May 2020, and I am locked down in my condo watching television about the pandemic war. Hard to believe that America has been attacked by a hidden enemy that has killed more Americans in 100 days than were killed in the Vietnam War over a decade. For your information, that number is 58,276. Continuing. Major hotspots include New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts, and more. Again, it's hard to accept what is happening. Hundreds are dying every day. The entire economy of the United States shut down overnight. Lives and livelihoods lost. And still, the body count rises. 50 years ago this month, I was dealing with body counts in a different war. On patrol southwest of Da Nang, the scenery is surreal. All your senses are in overdrive. I can feel the hot, humid air, the stench from knee-deep rice paddies we labored to cross to reach local villages. We were loaded down with heavy rucksacks, ammo, claymore mines, weapons, and more ammo. To understand what he is talking about, go over to the podcast website, VietnamVeteranNews.com. Check out episode 17501. There you will see a picture of John Shoemaker 50 years ago, loaded down with M16 ammo. Continuing. The smell of smoke from the village cooking fires penetrated your nostrils. Dogs barking, no men present. I gave the heartless order to kill the dogs. They were mangy mutts making enough noise to alert the enemy. One never knows what will happen. In a split second, your life changed forever. One of my soldiers entered the doorway of a grass hut. One man with an AK-47 dashed out the backside as I was standing to the side of the front entrance. I was less than 20 yards away and yelled. I emptied my M16 accurately. Meaning, he sent that little guy with the AK-47 to the big rice paddy in the sky. My first reaction beyond the race of adrenaline was that it was such a waste. He was such a young man in filthy black clothes and so skinny, but very dangerous. I shook my head in frustration and moved my platoon along. By the way, at that time, John was a platoon leader. Later on, he became a company commander of an infantry company. Continuing. At every step, I assessed chances for an ambush, trying to anticipate all possibilities. I was caught once in an ambush months later in which I lost one soldier and another was badly wounded. We reached the edge of one large rice paddy and entered a thick tropical forest with banana-like leaves. My platoon of 23 men set up a night defensive perimeter and used the thick grass and leaves to quietly bed down for the night. It was strict noise discipline. Darkness fell. It was just the sound of bugs and crackling of trees and leaves against a soft wind. The ground was wet and musty. I cursed that I did not get all my leeches off me before darkness. Restless, I woke up just before dawn with a beetle on my face. To my shock, I found that one of my guards had fallen asleep. To this day, I kick myself for not punching his lights out. But as an officer, I focused on control and discipline. He was also our medic. John, you can't punch out your medic anyway. Continuing. We were lucky. Even so, we soon had sightings of the enemy on the run. Gunshots rang out and the rush of contact made you jump into action. Each time it was over 10 minutes, but then you felt overwhelming exhaustion. At one point, the heat was so suffocating that I remember pouring valuable clean water over my head to cool me down. I sat down, took off my heavy helmet, and tried to breathe. I could smell the blistering heat rising from the straw and dead leaves. My eyes went wide open as my heart raced. A few minutes later, I collected myself and motioned to move out. Can't stay in any one place long after contact is made. The enemy knows where you are. I got news for you, John. The enemy always knew where we were over there. You might as well have just gotten used to it. Continuing. Hours later, we approached a river cautiously and caught one enemy taking a bath. Given we lost several teammates in the past few weeks to booby traps, what we call IEDs today, the resentment was pure anger. They demanded to let them handle it. I knew what that meant. The massacre at My Lai fresh on my mind, I refused and called for a Huey to evacuate the captured enemy. Several in the platoon were upset. By mid-afternoon, we had to reconnect with the rest of Bravo Company. Since we were still in the booby-trapped area, we deliberately marched in single file. We approached a long line of thick bushes to our front that was quite tall. Searching for a space to break through it, my squad leader found a slight opening, and as he stepped forward, boom! The projectile nearly took his head off. It was an awful scene. Another unseen enemy took a life quickly, and the whop-whop of a medevac Huey came and went efficiently. Emotions ran high, scared, angry, frustrated, revengeful. As we entered the company's giant circular perimeter with 3 other platoons, there was a sense of relief that one day was nearly over. Only 300 to go. Unfortunately, it would be more than over for some. A massive bomb went off inside the perimeter and killed my machine gunner, James Gibson. I was standing too close to him and felt the explosion blow me to the ground, face down like a rag doll. I felt rocks pelting my back, my ears ringing, and a sense of being in a dream. Dazed but conscious, I heard someone yelling, "Lieutenant, LT." Slowly I sat up. I searched my body to see if anything was missing. All good. My head was buzzing. I started yelling, "Booby trap! Freeze!" James Gibson was cut in half. The reflexive last gasp from his body became a frozen image in my brain. Over a half dozen others severely wounded. I discovered my red badge of courage. Blood ran from a slight wound on my arm, and dirt covered my tattered fatigues. I lost my senses for a time, and I remembered being half conscious. It seemed immediately Hueys were waiting for us to return to Hawk Hill, a large firebase. I still love the sound of a Huey. Whoop, whoop, whoop. After minor surgery, I returned to the killing fields 2 weeks later to lead my platoon. Once you smell death in the air, you never forget it. Every Memorial Day, I remember it. This year, in 2020, the smell of death is everywhere for me. I think of all those loved ones who were ambushed by a secret enemy called the coronavirus, especially for those 70 veterans cut down in Holyoke, Massachusetts, Soldiers' Home. For many on this day, the memory will be frozen forever. Pray for them. That was John Shoemaker's Memorial Day guest column that appeared in the Metro West Daily News of Framingham, Massachusetts. John Shoemaker is another one of those tremendous representatives of the Vietnam veteran generation, one as great as any that ever heeded the call of duty from its country. They went over and served their country in Vietnam in very difficult circumstances, as attested to by his guest column. The vast majority of them came home and continued serving their country, proving that statement about their greatness over the last 50 years. John Shoemaker, we appreciate your service to your country. I am hereby issuing you an official Vietnam Veteran News Podcast salute for your service. We appreciate it. We wish you the best. This is Mack Payne closing out episode 1751 of the Vietnam Veteran News Podcast. Thank you so much for coming to listen to these presentations. You are cordially invited to return again soon and often to listen to more that will be coming your way on this podcast, the Vietnam Veteran News.
How about that? Ain't that a mess?